Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 22 My Team career mode for the French Grand Prix today in Season 2. After the events of the previous episode, this is bound to be an interesting one, but we'll get to that in due course. First up, of course, we have the Pirelli Hot Lap Challenge, and we're skipping straight to the third of the three rival duels because the first two were very easy compared to the one we did in Azerbaijan. This one was very easy. The first two we hardly even saw our rival. The third one, where we start behind said rival, we make the move very easily on the third corner, and yeah, that is basically the last we see of them. It is quite a long section of the circuit here at Paul Ricard, and we got a little bit wide there, but no issue. We're already miles ahead into the chicane. It can be a little bit tricky to pick the braking points in the supercars. You know, when you get used to the reference points in Formula 1. And I say that with the driving line turned on, but it is you still get into a rhythm, and you know, you think, I can brake later than that, and then you realize you can't. But anyway, this flat out right-hander, not flat out in these cars, and then this long right-hand sweeper, and even the racing lines change as well in these cars a little bit. But anyway, we're able to stretch away through this whole section, and here is the finish line, and yeah, we're miles ahead by now. So yeah, that is the rival duel done. 3 from 3 very easily there. This one was a piece of cake. So yeah, rival duel done. Let's get into the F1 weekend itself as we pick up the money and acclaim there. So after practice, of course, R&D as always, looking at the chassis department. We're going to do this minor cockpit weight reduction upgrade, and that'll be on the car in time for the Belgian Grand Prix. We'll have the mid-season break before then. There is the R&D chart at the moment, and we have a huge upturn in performance between Austria and here. And I guess now is a good time to start talking about the events of the previous episode. Of course, you can see it there now. We won the previous race in Austria, first victory of the season, a result we much needed after the disappointment of Silverstone, and we start to get our championship back on track. But the bad news of this episode, rain forecast for the race. So yeah, that is a little unfortunate because my form in the rain has been dreadful so far this season. So we'll see how it goes, I guess. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I might have to lower the AI difficulty for the race to make it somewhat fair. But anyway, we get into qualifying then, and we will see as well who Haas have signed, because of course we stole Oscar Piastri from Haas at the end of the previous episode. If you missed that, you should have watched to the end of the video. And of course Haas needed a new driver, and they got Robert Schwartzman on board. So Robert Schwartzman has joined the field at Haas, and Fernando Alonso has been left without a seat. Perhaps he should have taken the deal we offered him. But anyway, we both get through, myself and Piastri, into Q2 pretty easily there. No real surprise. Schwartzman getting into Q2 at the first time of asking. Good effort from him. So that is exactly what he would have wanted in his first outing in Formula 1. The Alphas, the Williams, and the Aston Martins knocked out in 2x2 formation there, which is interesting to see. Slightly annoyingly, Robert Schwartzman has chosen the number 41, which is very similar to his teammate's number 47. They look so similar. on the car, so there's no doubt I'm going to get them confused at some point throughout the rest of the season. But anyway, that's going to happen. Anyway, yeah, first lap in Q2 wasn't great from us, so we're going to have to go again. And this lap was the best lap I did of the weekend by a long way. I don't know what I did differently on this lap and how it was so much better. But yeah, somehow this lap was miles better than anything else I managed throughout the rest of qualifying. Bit of a twitch on the rear end. I missed about 15 apexes throughout the course of this lap, but somehow it was about a second faster than the lap I ended up doing in Q3. Bit of a spoiler alert there, but anyway, you'll see what I mean when we get into Q3. But yeah, I don't know why I couldn't replicate this in the end, but yeah, for some reason on this lap I was just got it all hooked up, I guess. And despite the fact I was clearly not getting all the lines right, the speed was there, and as we come across the line, we top the session, and not by a small margin either, which we'll see when we see the list come up at the end. We are over a second clear, which I was absolutely shocked by. We get into the 31s there. I think in the previous session I was in the 33s, so yeah, I do not know where that lap time came from. I didn't get anywhere close to that any time before or after this, so we'll call that an outlier. Piastri gets knocked out, unfortunately. Funnily enough, in qualifying in Austria, Alonso only outqualified Piastri by 1 position, and that's, you know, our car versus the Haas. So we'll call this an outlier because Piastri's actually been doing really well for Haas. So I think he can definitely do better than that. And generally speaking, Alonso in the race has been doing very well, but qualifying, to be fair, Alonso was very much underperforming compared to where the car should be. So at least in the more recent past, when we have had a top 10 running car, he hasn't really been getting it there. But anyway, we continue to push on, and we finish our lap in Q3. And
with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Sainz, Perez and Charles Leclerc. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
We're starting from P6, so that's not too bad. That's around about where the car is. We're pretty much dead even with Mercedes on the R&D chart, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we've put ourselves on the grid. A little update on the championship standings there briefly. Hamilton has actually outqualified Verstappen there, which is a good effort from him. We've outqualified Russell though. He's our rival, so we've just managed to nick him there in the qualifying battle, which is nice. So that is a nice confidence boost going into the race. But like I said, it's going to be raining, so it's going to be tough. Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome from the Circuit Paul Ricard, current home of the French Grand Prix, an event dating all the way back to 1906. Now, it's been held at many venues over the years, with famous moments from Dijon and Manicourt the feature of many a highlights reel. So let's hope we see more of those in the race today. We have 15 corners here at the Circuit Paul Ricard, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, but the rain is coming down and making for a slippery racing surface. Luckily, there is plenty of runoff area available, and hopefully we'll be able to avoid bringing out a safety car during today's Grand Prix. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Hamilton, Max Verstappen, the Scientist, Russell, Norris, Ocon, and Daniel Ricciardo. Gasly, Oscar Piastri, Lance Stroll, and Schwartzman. Mick Schumacher, Joe, Daniel Ticktum, and Kevin Magnussen. Latifi, Deruvala, Albon, and Yuki Tsunoda. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Now, Natalie Pinkham, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, trying to put pressure on or disrupt things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you know, you've got your own race to run. I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut whilst leaving the other out longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into making an error.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
Alrighty, thank you. This is going to be a tough one. Starting on the full wet tyres. After maybe 15 or 20 minutes, the rain's going to ease up and we'll be heading on to the intermediates. But yeah, that is it's going to be a tricky race, that is for sure. For the sake of transparency, I will say I did lower the AI difficulty for this one only by 5, I think. So I don't know if it'll be enough, but we'll see as we go to the 5. Red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go then for the French Grand Prix. We immediately go to the inside, see if we can make the move on Max Verstappen. We've made a pretty good start actually in these conditions. We make the lunge down the inside, and we've actually made all the overtakes and moved ourselves up into second position. Only Carlos Sainz ahead of us now, and the visibility is significantly better as soon as we move ourselves further towards the front. Still a lot of spray coming off just the one car in front of us, but that has immediately made this race significantly easier for us, as we've already knocked over one of the bollards there, but not going to worry about that too much as we're really struggling for traction, and we're all over the place here, but we held up both Hamilton and Perez there on the exit, and neither of them can get a run on us. We continue to push on though.
Tyre condition still looking good.
And we are struggling a little bit.
Okay, I reckon we could probably get away with intermediate tyres now. You're going to find it harder and harder to keep the wets cool from here, but the inters should be easier.
And
confirmed, we'll receive you at the end of this lap.
Apparently, we can get away with the inters.
Okay, we'll fit inters on your next stop.
And yeah, I was starting to struggle for pace just a touch. Starting to struggle keeping up with Carlos Sainz. It wasn't terrible, but I sort of thought I had nothing to lose in this race.
Seems to have been a problem attaching the left rear wheel. We need to try and put that behind us though, and let's finish this race strong.
Come on guys, seriously? This was a low pressure pit stop, and they screwed it up. But anyway, no harm done. We're not really in a
look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
Time pressure situation here in this race. I don't think this is a strategy that's you know, either going to work or it doesn't. It's not you know, something that's going to be decided by a factor of, you know, 2 or 3 seconds. It might be something that is decided by a factor of 10 or 15. But the problem for us now is we've caught up to the traffic, which I did expect to happen, of course. But anyway, we'll see if we can get through it efficiently enough. But the fact we have caught up to these guys is confirmation that the intermediate tyres are working as we make the move.
Nice work, mate. That brings you up a place.
Successfully on Nicholas Latifi. So, despite the fact that the circuit still looks pretty wet, these intermediate tyres are still looking pretty good and still quite effective in these conditions, as we also make the move around the outside of Jay and Deruvala, as there's an issue there for Mick Schumacher as he retires from the race. with a mechanical failure. He was also out-qualified by Robert Schwartzman. I didn't mention that at the time, but Schwartzman in his first race out-qualified his teammates, so that was a brilliant effort from the Russian driver, or the Israeli driver, as he is now. I saw him entered in the Spa 24 hour with the Israeli flag beside his name.
20 minutes of light rain, and gap to the car in front is 2.0 seconds.
But anyway, we continue to push on, and we start to catch more and more traffic. Some people starting to make their pit stops as well. Double move down the inside, and a bit of a shortcut there, but we're already ahead of Yuki Tsunoda and Alexander Albon as we continue to pass the wet tyre runners. And I think if we were getting through this traffic a bit more efficiently and not getting held up by them, I think this strategy could have been working better for us. But unfortunately, I don't quite have the full confidence to be going absolutely full send left, right and centre on these cars. And yeah, I do occasionally get held up by a lot of them. So that is ultimately costing us a lot of time. And it's actually this corner where, as you can see, we're making a lot of moves as we go around the outside of Zhou Guanyu. It's where we can carry a lot more speed. And as you can see at the moment, the strategies playing out.
Tsunoda's in the pits.
I think we've effectively lost quite a few positions out of this. I think we ultimately pit a little bit too early. But, you know, I thought at the time we didn't really have a lot to lose because we were struggling for pace, and it was only going to be a matter of time before we started losing positions. You know, after being in the same situation in Miami, struggling for pace, and, you know, the whole field going by, it was time we just tried something different, and
car ahead is 8.9 seconds.
Just trying to see if something would work. But anyway, regardless, we'll see if we can push on and still make something good of this race. But unfortunately, I think this was a lost cause from the beginning because we continue to lose pace, and Esteban Ocon is now absolutely hounding us. So, you know, even if we were still up there fighting, further up inside the top 8, we would be losing places because we just don't have the pace ultimately. And Esteban Ocon is the one making the move on us around the outside. We do hold him off, but yeah, we just don't have the pace of the front runners in this race at the moment, unfortunately. And that is the simple matter of fact at the moment. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, this one is I think just going to be another one that's going to slip away, unfortunately. We just need to do our best to hold on to the 4 points we have at the moment. If we can hold off Esteban Ocon, I think that'll be a pretty good effort. But at the moment, yeah, we are just struggling. But we'll see what we can do and see how it goes, I guess. But anyway.
Lando's ahead of you now, and gap to the car in front is 21.4 seconds.
Norris has absolutely left town. But, you know, as we continue to push on, I don't know what happened, but as we went on through the race, I all of a sudden found a burst of speed at some point. You can actually see I set a purple first sector there in the top right. So maybe once I really got into a rhythm, there was a little bit more inherent pace in the car, and when I really focused and put a lap together, there was a bit more pace in it, and we set the fastest lap of the race. So this car does have some pace in it, and if we can put a few more of those together, maybe we can pull something back in this race. It might only be a fastest lap point, but it's something. We continue to push on, and we continue to hold in the gap to Lando Norris. I don't know if it'll be enough to catch him by the end of the race.
Lando ahead, and gap to the car in front is 14.0 seconds.
I think we're going to need some divine intervention if we want to do that. But we'll try our best and see.
Information on Tsunoda for you. Okay, they're out of this race.
Oh, Tsunoda is out of the race. What has happened here? As Zhou Guanyu goes for a spin, Tsunoda crashing into him, and more cars involved as well. Zhou flees the scene and gets going again. What's happened here? He goes 360 spin. Tsunoda slams into the back of him. No time to react for the Japanese driver. And who are on board here with Kevin Magnussen? Goodness me, that was almightily close for the Dane. And yeah, Yuki Tsunoda unsighted there, and no time to react. Front wheel off, and he is out of the race. Alex Albon, and he was able to stop in time. Lucky for him, able to back away from the incident. Here comes Sergio Perez. He's in. He is out of the race. Front wheel off for Sergio Perez. It's Carlos Sainz in as well. The Ferrari, the top two in the race, are both out. Here comes Max Verstappen. He stops the car in time. Everyone goes for him, the lucky duck. And he gets away with it. He's stopped there on track, which means we're actually going to get past him. Talked about divine intervention. Goodness me.
Turn the position immediately or we're going to get penalised. There's no overtaking during the safety car period.
That is very much the turn of luck we needed, because we are now ahead of Max Verstappen with a car between us. The car being Lando Norris, who I don't think has damage through all of that. We've got Russell, Hamilton and Leclerc in front of us. I don't think they were involved in the incident. But goodness me, that was a lot. So that just happened there. Carlos Sainz, I think, is out of the race, as we just saw there. He had DNF next to his name. Sergio Perez out. Yuki Tsunoda out. Goodness me. George Russell now coming into the pit lane, so he is effectively out as well. He's not going to come back from this. And we have a lapped car of Nicholas Latifi blocking our way on the safety car restart. I tried to pass him, but the stewards took a dim view of that. We had to give the spot back. So, yeah, that did not quite go to plan. But anyway, we get racing once again on the safety car restart. And we have we have one Mercedes car rather, and Charles Leclerc in front of us. The Ferraris on paper are the fastest car, but that's never really translated for them into results and into raw pace. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But
okay, you're catching the car ahead, but remember, we need to get to the end of the race on these tyres.
As I said at the start, on the R&D chart, we are basically matched with Mercedes, and that showed in qualifying. We just about beat George Russell, and we were pretty close behind Hamilton. So if we can drive cleanly and get our tyres up to temperature again, because they were stone cold on the restart, we could
Pace is strong, but be aware, these tyres need to go the distance.
we could start to come back at him. And while we did fade back for a moment, and we were on the defensive for a while, looking back to Lando Norris behind us, we are now looking like the faster driver, and we're all over Hamilton, going for the lunge down the inside, but we clumsily had to hop over the curbs there. We're on an awkward trajectory, and yeah, I don't think we're going to take that position. Hamilton gets back through, and a bit of a moment there on the exit, and now we're looking rearwards once again, but Lando's not close enough to capitalise. End of the back straight though, and now this is our opportunity. We've been really strong through this long right-hander, ducking to the inside of Lewis Hamilton. We're already through. He's got no chance to defend that, as we have a bit of a moment on the exit. We're up into second position with only Charles Leclerc in front of us, and now we have the pace in these conditions. These tyres are up to temperature, and the confidence is back, except for this right-hander. That slight right-hander is by far the hardest corner on the circuit, but we're handling it alright so far. But yeah, it is very awkward. Leclerc's got a bit of a gap in front of us, but we are trying our best to close that down.
You're in second gap to the car in front is 2.8 seconds.
We move on then. 4 laps to go in this race. 5 laps to go really, as we make the little end down the inside. That was never really going to be a move from that far back, but we're close enough to Charles Leclerc to start thinking about where we can make an overtake. We just need to get the run and just be patient and wait for the opportunity to arise. So we continue to push on, and now around the outside into the chicane, down the inside into the right-hander, trying to get the traction down here is a little bit awkward. Leclerc does a better job there, and he's going to hold on to the position, but we're closer here now, as we're going to try and follow as closely as we can through this near flat-out right-hander. It's a lot more difficult in the wet conditions, but we're right behind Charles Leclerc, now ducking to the inside and getting the move done, as we have done to many drivers through the long sweeping right-hander there. And we take the lead here at Paul Ricard, and now we just need to hold on to it for a handful of laps, and we can come home with a very unexpected race victory here if this continues to go our way. But it's not going to be easy to hold on. It's racing in these conditions requires ultimate concentration. It's just, especially putting the power down when you are still trying to turn on corner exits like this corner here. One slight fishtail, and Charles Leclerc is already alongside, making the move along the straight. We're trying to escort him to the narrow line on the inside, and he has to brake slightly more, but he's still got a decent exit up towards the long sweeping right-hander. We're trying to make the move all the way around the outside. Charles Leclerc still there on the inside. We have to give him space on the apex. We're skating our way around the outside. Charles Leclerc still there on the outside, trying to make the move, almost off circuit for him there, and we're going to hold him off just about, as he had to gather himself up. He was having a bit of a moment out there, I think, almost off circuit in the Ferrari, but we were able to hold on. And now, as we enter the final corner for the penultimate time, we have just 1 lap to go here at Paul Ricard, and we can start.
Be careful, the tyres have deteriorated significantly at this point. Okay, this is your final lap of the race.
We can start thinking about bringing this one home, but the tyres definitely have deteriorated significantly. Something I haven't mentioned, but I think with about 16 laps to go, they were already half worn because we put them on so much earlier than everyone else. I dare not look at how worn out they are now, but they will make it to the end. They've gone this far, but yeah, it's they have definitely seen better days at this point. But we continue to slide our way through the final lap. We are definitely struggling in these conditions, but we've only got 2 corners left now. On the defensive there a little bit, but we've only got 1 corner to go. Easy on the power, and we are going to do it here. Luck was on our side, but we made the passes when it counted. We are going to come home with a race victory here in France. We've done it again.
Great drive, we did it. Good job, we did it.
Oh my goodness. I cannot believe this has happened again. Of all the races.
We've witnessed some great battles around Paul Ricard today, and they've taken a fantastic win. So Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their head when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that has allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy and stay out of trouble.
A show-stopping performance from the 3 drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure.
So it is a second consecutive victory here this season today at the French Grand Prix. Second place goes to Charles Leclerc, with Lewis Hamilton in third.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to the scientist. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. No change in the top spot then, but with today's points, their hold on that lead is getting weaker. It was also a strong Grand Prix from Haas F1 this weekend. Fantastic work from the American team to move themselves further up the table. Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Well, goodness me. That is ridiculously lucky. We were set to finish a maximum of P6 if we were able to get past Lando Norris and maybe George Russell, because George Russell was, to be fair, right in front of Lando Norris. So if we were able to catch them, there was a chance we could have passed both of them. But yeah, I think that's probably the maximum we could have achieved if it wasn't for Zhou Guanyu going for that freak 360 spin and Yuki Tsunoda getting caught up in it, and the chain reaction of Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz getting bowled out of the race, getting involved in George Russell getting damage in that, and also holding up Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. We were able to just swing through and pass all of them, bunched up the field, and that allowed us to catch up to Leclerc and Hamilton. And ultimately, in the end, we had the pace to overhaul the pair of them. Only just, but wow. That was something. Let's have a quick run through the results, because I don't have much time left to talk. I didn't record much of this. I don't have highlights once again. Results: myself, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, Max Verstappen in P5, ahead of Esteban Ocon, Daniel Ricciardo, George Russell, Lance Stroll and Robert Schwartzman are points in his very first race. The drivers' standings: Max Verstappen still leads the championship. Charles Leclerc sits in second position, 41 points adrift, and we are just 2 points behind Charles Leclerc, 43 points behind Max Verstappen. In terms of the team standings, Red Bull lead the way, just 18 points ahead of Ferrari. We are in third place now in the team standings, 95 points behind Red Bull. Okay, goodness me. But with all of that said, yeah, we, I think, can now say are contenders, with Verstappen having a pretty average race in this championship. Not just mathematically, but properly in the fight. Before, Max Verstappen, I did the maths, could finish second in every race and still win the championship. But now, the fight is on, and he will actually need to put in proper good performances once again to actually make sure he wins the fight. But anyway, $4 million in the bank at the end of that race.
The team's income is looking very robust right now. It's time for you to have a think about our profit margin and what areas of the operation might benefit from that money.
And it's time for the activity timeline. First up, we'll do race simulations for Piastri's experience and awareness, and he needs more experience, of course, because it is certainly nowhere near Alonso's level. We will also do the performance review for his focus, and here's where I made a mistake. I chose the funded team event away and left the last 2 days blank because I forgot that there were more days on the other side of the season break. What I should have done is chosen the 2 3-day options, the team building and the second driver PR filming, and done the team event on the other side of the season break. So we go through the timeline then, and unfortunately that rear wing main plane upgrade failed, and that will not be on the car for the Belgian Grand Prix unless we can get that fixed soon. At the moment we don't have the resource points to fix that. So we continue through the timeline then, And we got a bearings upgrade. I don't actually remember that one, but anyway. We also get our weekly resources, which means we can fix that rear downforce upgrade that failed, which is awesome. Because, well, it's just annoying when that stuff happens. Anyway, it'll be on the car just in time for the Belgian Grand Prix, which is very fortunate. So, whoops, I've accidentally cancelled that. Let's not do that. There we go. And, yeah, just in the nick of time. That'll be on the car for Belgium. Oh, for goodness sake.
On the production line earlier this week, so the
Guys.
entire development package for this weekend has failed. Any redevelopments will need to be ordered from the R&D screen.
Seriously? Another failed upgrade? Goodness me. Can you do anything? We also have that cockpit weight reduction upgrade fail. That's going to be another 600 resource points. Yeah, other side of the season break then. And we have another 4 days on the timeline. This is what I was saying before. We should have done that 4-day event here, but easy to say now, I guess. We're going to do the team building exercise. Team building event here, I guess. It's only a 3-day, but it's all we've got left as an option, really, is a decent one. Boost morale of all departments. And yeah, we'll continue through the timeline. We'll get resource points and money, but not enough to fix our weight reduction upgrade, unfortunately. But it is enough money to continue working on the chassis facility. And what we're going to do is work on resource point generation, because that is clearly something we are struggling with at the moment. So yeah, this is the next step, of course, in trying to get it up to Spec 3. So yeah, we will confirm purchase of that, and we are almost there. But anyway, continuing through the timeline again. Oh, for goodness sake.
Our new parts have completed without issue. They'll be on the car, ready for the next race weekend.
We didn't have enough money for the team building activity. Oh well, who needs team building anyway? I think I know why Alonso left the team. The management here is terrible. Anyway, I think that is probably going to do it for this one. I don't think there is much else left to cover, so I'll say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments, it is always very helpful. And other than that, I'll see you next time, and goodbye.